Hello. Uncoincidentally, the new timeline begins. We have a new video to prepare, and all this to be done for Pisces. Our connected messenger who literally allows the coexistence to be able to practice the wisdom to forward the uh forward literal like transformation. Pisces knows that change is inevitable as a mutable sign in the hallmark of astrology. It continues to be something that um, has memory of the encounter that it has previously resided in and throughout, and has the ability to remain impartial to the Libra's not here today. Sorry. Impartial to the information that corresponds to the new era that it is hearkened into. And what I mean by it reserves judgment, it does not impose its previous reality into the new context of a particular moment. Pisces will go into a lot of the things that could potentially help aid independence as dreamers, to allow yourself to not feel guilty for the things you cherish, and take a private indulgence in. There's no need to feel like you have to share your story. And what I mean by story is the existence, the morality, the structure of living that you condone for your own sanity and your own wherewithal. You get to have that and keep that for yourself, Pisces. It does not need to be shared unless it is, asked upon, I don't want to exhibit this to the entirety of Pisces, but there may be moments of surprise where somebody even asks why you move the way you do, and it shows how unprepared you are to be able to be the teacher that allows for that transformation for other people. Okay, cards are telling me to stop. Let's go. We're gonna go in order today. The cards would like to be placed in order in my spread. Now, thank you for this divine message, the channel that came through. Our cards are being depicted below. They're very quiet still. They're whispering. The Queen of Cups is kind of exemplary for the excitement that she likes to withhold from other people. like I feel like she's presiding in the message currently at this time, like for Pisces, because it's like, you know, we're kind of like taking that moment to stand in our like solitude as Piscean beings, because that's kind of like where the channeled message led us to. Like we got to be the reserved likeness, like we're not taking the initiative to begin a transformation for somebody else. The Queen of Cups enjoys that at this moment. There is room to the other interpretations that are being missed. The Seven of Cups for the outer world resides to depict what is out of your control. And there is a like miscommunication in the steps that are being taken to remember your own dreams. Sometimes like we like it's like it's not a rut. Like you're not caught in a rut. You're in your groove. You have the like moment of time where you have places that you like to rest in and kind of like go through the motion and see things through continually in that timeline that doesn't um, end up marrying with your other responsibilities. I don't want to talk like when I say responsibilities, it's like we have responsibilities to our hobbies too. Like we have responsibilities to not only like the foundational aspects of the things that we need to do to take care of ourselves. Like that's not what responsibility can be limited to. Like I know that this is good for me, and I I take upon myself to make it a responsibility of mine to further develop these things. So with the Seven of Cups depicting in the outer world, it's like sometimes these things move without our contributions. Like they're hobbies that like involve other people, and you end up like getting left behind, maybe like it the complexity of all of the different things that can be an example for you in this moment like are so vast that for a Piscean contribution to the um, record is necessary to include those things. Um, but if you want to continue, like, oh my gosh, like journaling, what we could be missing, the devil wants to come through here. Our devil is representative in the past, and with the responsibilities that I mentioned earlier, the devil really wants to drive this through to the consciousness that, like, the responsibility to not only for your mental health, but to establish a record of your timekeeping is an inevitable facet of your daily experience. Um, it's a way to preserve. It's like for self-preservation. Where was my mental state at this time? Like I don't have a strong memory. I get to go back to my journal as a responsibility for myself and literally look at the documentation of where my heart space or hobby like schedule, relationships, like who you were talking to at the time, like All of those things come up when you start to journal because you get to look back. Um, and the Hierophant in your future is in reversed. So there's a reassurance for those of us Piscean functional beings who experience paranoia. Like, this journal is being referred to and being talked about deeper as a facet of your life that you get to enjoy privately. Relieve yourself of the pressure to feel as though like you need to write and be a teacher at the same time. Like, you don't need to be the person who's like, I need to teach my younger self a valuable lesson in um, a way that I need to practice, like, being able to voice it to other people. Like, don't limit your journaling to, like, your potential diction in conversation. Like, the Hierophant showing up in reverse here harkens to your ability to literally get to know the desirable expressions of yourself. Um, and your Magician, like, is coming in your favor, being in reversed. Like, these are not like moments where you are committing to a change in your continuity. Like, you're not like you're not like writing a journal entry to then give give access to somebody else. Like, these moments are inherently um like an overstock of just your own privacy. And it changes the way you move at the same time. Um but sometimes, like, that conversation that I'm seeing in front of me talking about, like, literally, like, wanting to be able to privately put something down in writing to relieve some of the anticipated feelings that you have. Like, you don't like how unpredictable our experiences have made us. Like, we're about to make choices that we wouldn't otherwise do. So, this opportunity to write and um, erase virtually, like, the you need to feel like your voice needs to be heard, even if it's just in your own sight, like your own mind. Sorry, the Queen of Cups wanted me to keep going, but I just can't. Um, the Queen of Wands, like, is in reverse, which is supportive of everything that we're talking about. Like, as far as the ability to not make anticipated yeah. She, like, she knows what she would do. Like, Pisces, you have the strength to continue to be like the honorable nature that you have. Like, you get to be like consistent with yourself and correctly become like aware of the enlightened position that you would have taken when something occurred. Um, the devil is overpowering right now. Like, the conversation, it is literally taking the chains and the reins of the conversation and like robbing the queen of her power. Um, and I just feel like the access that the queen wishes that she could have just doesn't line up in her like wishful um for her wishful narrative. Like, the continuity here is that she would like to voice an opinion because it would make the situation easier for her. But with the devil being here, like, it's almost like she's predicting that there is a disagreement with the way things are going to go from here on out. Like, even after she voices her opinion, it'll be heard, but it won't affect the situation. Unfortunately. And Ten of Swords describes your past. The Ten of Swords is here, like, when it's depicted as swords and wands, like in the tens, it's literally talking about a relief of burden to the um, complication of the narrative that you're witnessing. Correctly, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, you understand that there are like the timelines that are happening outside of your control, circles of life that are continuously flowing without your involvement. And literally, like, the way to yeah, the Queen of Wands is like, I'd like to be involved with what's being taken place here, but I'm gonna shoot my shot. This is my chance to communicate the desire of my group that I want to be involved with, and step into and see how it goes. But the devil's working against her in the ideal world of this confusion. Like, you're not a regular in this environment. And, like, the Queen of Wands knows not to make demands, but she has personal boundaries about what she's willing to spend her time in. She won't step into this new architecture to explore these things if it doesn't look as an opportunity to be a place that she can thrive in. So you get your chance to voice like what you would like to happen, but it isn't promised, and sometimes we have to put down our swords and literally like not contribute to an argument and preserve like, you know, the cordialness of like the correctness that you're witnessing. Like, you know, um, oh, Justice is here. Justice? Sorry, I should not put this drink on my bed. It's gonna spill. I have a Tempur-Pedic mattress, but it's not like invincible to, you know, it's never happened to me, but I don't want to try it. I don't want to try my luck. Woo! Perfect messaging, like, involved for Justice. We're not trying our luck, you know? Um, but there is a, like, oh, what's the word? It's like you retain yourself. Like, you literally. What? When I say it like that, I'm so sorry. When I say it like that, it's like I'm imagining like the Queen of Wands is about to start a fight. Sorry. She doesn't like being left out. Maleficent. Like, that story exists, and it's a very popular one. I can't deny that this is happening. Knave of Cups in reversed, like in our inner world, like we, we know what we like. Okay, we like ourselves. Like we want to include ourselves, but it's not the path forward. And Justice, like, continue to remind yourself of the oh, it starts with a C. You have the you just it feels correct. You know, like you it feels correct that you would not want me in your circle. Like um and like kind of attitude. Like, especially with the Queen of Wands coming in reversed, like I know I'd be the light that overbears everything. Like and you know, sometimes we just want things to stay the same. Like, it feels correct. You know, like that's not the word that I'm looking for to describe the way the Justice is perched on her chair, but her coin, like she has her coin. It's that was completely irrelevant. Like the Queen of Wands is crying. She's like, I have the money. Why can't you include me? Sorry. We're talking about cultural appropriation now. Um, I have the. Sorry. Hold on. I'm not gonna voice this. I will not sustain. I will not include myself in that timeline. Um, but yeah, no, I need to do my research to connect with what the Justice is telling me. Um, so I know I talked about the Magician and the Hierophant being reversed and how it's a good thing. It can always be subject to change. Like, the future, like, these people are actively be working against you, Pisces, like, and I honestly don't see it inflicting with your sanity, because you know what you enjoy, and you know that you can enjoy it in your own time. Like, you don't need the support of other people to give you the approval of what you are, correct me if I'm wrong, like, entertained with. Like, what gives you the continuity to, like, correlate yourself with other people. Like, I'm really being specific with my wording here because cultural appropriation is part of the conversation. Like, you feel like you're being left out of an in group, and it's contradicting to the experiences of your past. Queen of Wands, Pisces, you're so charming, you always get your way. And, like, feeling like you're left out, you honestly feel like as if Pisces and paranoia play in hand together. And, like, you literally feel as though, like, these people are, like, turned against you, out to get you, or literally, like, leaving you out of successful opportunities that you, like, couldn't be able to do on your own. You know what I mean? Like, the Hierophant is here, like, especially if this conversation has to keep going, like, you cannot expect these people to be the arbiters. Woo. Well, okay, well, I won't say arbiter because, like, they're arbiters, nonetheless, but, like, because they get to dictate, like, who they spend their time around. But you literally, like, cannot anticipate the outstretched hand to introduce you to every single reference that, like, corrects, like, correct is the word of this conversation. Like, you get to literally have moments where you can go out and see them and, like, use your ability to you get to use your ability to access certain spaces and indulge yourself in the, what was the word that I used? The, I don't want to limit myself to the coexistence because you aren't part of the in group here that's being depicted. Like, there's this, the you arrive to the event, the venue, and you literally get to have, like, your correspondence with, like, you get to observe how you correspond to the livelihood of, a community that lives around you. And there's nothing here, especially in these cards, that give you the opportunity to demand access to these places. Like, you are given the opportunity to, like, sustain the event by supporting it financially when you go. You're not you're not funding, you're not producing it. You aren't contributing to the more or less artistic outcome of the dialogue. Like you get to go there and like again I keep using correspond because there's a back and forth that you hold energetically within yourself to um, place yourself with and among that in group, correlating to any way that this like showtime comes through. Um, yeah. Um, our devil, like the devil card, like is even like the way she's speaking to me right now with our devil, she's upright and her wisdom is that like I'm literally like in the places that it is allowing you to perceive the this in group is being open to you when it this in group specifically when I use the pronoun it like um it's like it's kind of just the conversation of introverts and extroverts is what this is being reduced to. Like an extrovert continues the connection with other people even if and kind of like experiences the dopamine that is involved with conversation and introverts like to um, plan for occasions where they literally get to make themselves like vulnerable to the ire of the people that they know or even strangers. Like they're like, and even in production, like an introvert produces themselves honestly. Like I'm not an introvert, but it's literally like the amount of time it takes in formative stages to then go out and show like what they want to be perceived as like to other people because it's a way for them to express themselves. um like it's just correct behavior, you know? And the devil like is being very protective on the proceeding of this message because like these people who plan events that are an in group that you would like to be a part of or even take a moment to judge as a non related party, like you are like the devil wants us to remember the effort that goes into producing a lot of these outcomes and ways that we want to perceive you. Um, the Ten of Swords just continues to hearken us like into the mentality that our words aren't always necessary. Because sometimes it's like, it's literally a Michael Scott reference, like from The Office. You start a sentence, and then halfway through it, you have no idea how this sentence is going to end. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know, like, the. Like, well, it's not that you don't know what you're talking about all the time. But in some circumstances, Pisces wants to be defensive and allow us to remember, like, there's a lot of information that you're missing, and you're commenting as if it's an open forum. You know, it's and sometimes forums are limited to being people who have been in the enterprise for a extended amount of time. Like, this forum is supposed to be a space where I know the critique that I'm given is a valuable addition to my correspondence. Like, but like, yeah, the Queen of Wands doesn't want to be in this reading, but she gets to take the cake. Like, because honestly, how specific, like, these references are, like, we get to have this conversation. Like, so honestly, like, thank you to the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Wands for being here. If we need proof that they're in the reading, like, here they are. Our Queen of Wands and our Queen of Cups. But she was in reversed. Yeah. The Knave of Cups being in reverse, like, wow. The Queen of Cups is literally fighting for her court right now. Like, there is nothing wrong with the Knave of Cups being in reversed from what I've perceived at this point, like, for Pisces. Our limited accessibility, like, to literally, like, okay, our limited availability likes to contribute to the fact that you get to have a reminder of what you already have the ability to attain. Like, you're at what you have access to, what's available to you. It's not like you're missing out on life itself. Um, just because you can't, like, interject into a conversation that um wow, this is a frustrating conversation, especially for me to have as a Libra. Like, because I've always trained myself to insert the value of information that's presented in front of me, and I take things at face value in the process continually. Like, someone may not know anything about what they're talking about, and, like, I'll take it to heart, but it's just a time waster. Unfortunately, like, you're literally a personification of a non sequitur, and it can't it cannot even understand how irrelevant it is in the room. Like, And it's frustrating for the other girls that are in the room. Like, you oh my god, you want to impress the room. You want to literally act as if like you have committed a crime. Like sorry. Like I kind of jumped the gun on that one. Like I shifted the conversation really quickly from what we were talking about. But what was said needed to be said, and I feel like we can move on for Pisces into a different realm, especially when it comes to dating advice. Well, okay. Do we go into this today? Our cards aren't providing us with the resources to go into love. You know? Like, literally, like, just supportive movement from what I'm seeing is the fact that there's an in group that people are a part of that you are disconnected from, that you want to interject into, and it's just not being supported. Um, yeah. But honestly, like we have the Hierophant, the Magician in reversed for the future in the description of this reading. So it's like I'm not gonna write like further on about something that the literal timeline here doesn't communicate. This isn't about like boy versus girl like drama. Like that's not what um was sent, you know. It's not yeah, so we're not going to go into that. Uh how much time do we have left? Um it still feels like there's a possibility that there's a desire to maintain the possibility. Like, of wanting to literally interject yourself into a conversation that you are inexperienced with. Like, um, yeah, yeah. Our Knave of Cups doesn't have access to the Seven of Cups here. Like, everything this guy's working with is like he's in the shop and these are on the shelves, but they come in different currencies, and these currencies give you access to the different um it's a World of Warcraft thing. Sorry. Like you have gold and then you have rubies or you have resources, mana, like foundationally like these things were meant to barter for specific goods. Like and there isn't like a There is, well, there is. But like tenure is an example. Like I'm trying to think of real world examples that isn't like World of Warcraft. Like I was picturing this like prior to filming, like just in my own private time, like associating what it means to have benefits in a um to have benefits in I'm trying to think of an overcompassing like example or word to use because I think about businesses, organizations, theologies, like, and I don't want to call like a religious institution an organization, but some religious institutions call themselves an organization, like, um, but that's not the conversation I want to have. Like, I'm talking about like when there are benefits to belonging to a community that you involve yourself with. And because I think about what inspired this conversation was the insight to a reference to paying tithing that is associated with religion. And it's like you give 10% of your income to this um, community, and there are no benefits. Like, and if you want to get like so, like, you want to climb up the ladder of how far this goes, you can think about the Mormon theology where it's like you're paying a subscription to say that you're a part, like affiliated with the community. Like literally you're paying for affiliation. Like that's how they might mitigate the access that paying tithing provides. But you don't have any benefits to what you are. You don't have any. The Queen of Wands gave me a stank face. You're literally not receiving any benefits for yourself. Like, you're not doing this to receive anything, like to cut the cost of living. Um, it's literally like you pay for a private service and access to a community. Now I'm going in circles, but this is different than um, paying for, or this is different than being hired by a company that gives you benefits like health insurance, um, benefits such as like sick time, um, things like daycare for your children. All of those things are benefits. Like you get to have like an immediate currency to the um like an immediate result to your affiliation. Like they take you under your wing and you get these things in return. So those are like these real world examples of different currencies that you get to barter with, that you aren't involved with, that you may not even be knowledgeable of. Like, there may be opportunities that aren't available to you just because you are being withheld um, from entry. Like we talked about, like there's an in group that you want to be a part of, like, but you continue to be denied because of your resume or something like that. Like, um, and it's a necessary pitfall to um encourage you to like press onward and figure out ways to eventually attain this goal. Like, not to manipulate like what you already have experience with, but find new things that can contribute to being relevant enough for that person to consider you in the hiring process. Um, and yeah, like cultural appropriation is just not one of those things that are evident of accessibility in America. Like, and more or less like some European countries. Um, cause it's like mirroring doesn't mean that you are gonna be received. And that's a tough cookie. Like, it's hard to recognize that. Like, there are just so many like incongruences with the mistake that you making a reference culturally to something will indicate that you're going to be received. It can't establish the, like, don't start to create these like mental pathways in your mind that like, this is going to more or less like get the response that I want to have, like when it comes to cultural appropriation. Um, and because there cultural appropriation will like have the reduction to the main reference that you are having a conversation of, and it'll be reduced to a um insight like uh, I need a cold rag like on my head because I'm talking about this right now. Like, it's literally like the culture is reduced to something to be interpreted as edgy. It's literally taken out of context and made hip. And that's what people have problems with. Because then it's like you start to make people feel like a spotlight is being put on them because it's like abnormal to look or appear this way. And it um is just a miscommunication because there are some people who want to say that they're celebrating a culture in the process of being made a spectacle that they don't have control over. So it just, to me, and my thought process on this seems like it's just an irresponsible thing to do. It couldn't be anything else. Like, which is disappointing to a lot of people. Like, I wanted to be somebody who contributed to the celebration of this particular, um my mind always goes to deity work. Like, um so like I don't know much about fashion. Um but what was I saying? Um I need to look at the cards. Uh well, the cards have kind of given me permission to literally like flatline, because there's this like, you know, it literally looks like a film has been like laid out in front of me, and like there's not an end to the conversation at hand. But I'm remaining relevant to the cards, I promise. Justice, connecting ourselves with the coexistence and our higher dimensions. Like, justice, yeah, wants to preserve her name. um, so when I think about like the inability to, or just the disappointment, like, forget that you need to say something, like, because it's not like this practice is going anywhere. And I mean, because like our history in America has been so volatile, like, there are some time periods in black culture that literally have taken like moments of absence. Like, a time period like literally goes away, and hairstyles like aren't, it's like, and then, no, I'm not about to talk about like the person who stands up on the soapbox to profess the fact that they want to continue to see that in the community, because no, like, this community is literally like involved in its own process. You're not adding to the conversation, and there's a record of like, well, okay, um there's just a knowledge that it's like there is enough support behind this practice that you get to relieve yourself of the anxiety of being a voice for a particular art form, and literally appropriating it into like, it's just like, what are you doing kind of conversation. Like, um because, yeah, it's just, this appropriation is not going to give you access into a space that you feel like you aren't a part of. um that's not the way to go with things. Like, because for some, people find ways to integrate into that society without being a carbon copy aesthetically of the experience. Um, so I just don't agree with it. Um, I don't think you can be very productive regardless of how passionate you are in the process. And that's something you need to relinquish control over. Um, if there are communities that have become so sparse that the history of that community begins to dwindle, um, the best thing that you can do is not become like the image of it, but to literally give light to and platform that society. It gets to be relevant because you make it that, you know, just by being a voice for them. Um, now, like, um, not much here alluding to cultural appreciation. So we got to have a conversation about appropriation today, um, as well as just access and benefits to being part of a community. Um, and sometimes the benefit to being part of a community is having the language that is indicative of a way that you get to experience life that is almost impossible to achieve in other places. Like, just with the way you have compassion for yourself and for other people. The language and love language involved is just a thing that you literally get to like appreciate because it doesn't exist anywhere else. Like, I don't see other people who behave the same way that I cherish my relationships. Like, it doesn't exist to them. Like, there are words in other languages that mean specific things that the English language doesn't have access to. It can't tap into it because there's just the way that the humans relate to each other different. Um and like, that's another example of a currency that is almost invaluable. It's amazing. It's amazing. So happy for you. Um, and um, continue to. Wow, the coexistence doesn't want to come through. Literally, Pisces was talking about separation today. Um, but harken back to those times that you've learned to appreciate, um, understand how valuable of an asset those things are, and continue to understand that sometimes, like, other people get to enjoy things um because it literally is something that they grew up doing, you know? And you can't expect people to literally like be the invitation for a new face, you know? Cuz you those people understand that like not everything is 100% good for you all the time. Like you there's a specific pattern of belief that has like positives and like a plus side, but you understand the negative aspects that correlate to it as well. Because sometimes like the things that we believe or the things that we do inhibit doubt in ourselves. That is like the 3 of swords isn't here, but we'll talk about it. Like um it's literally like this desire to fit in that could nonetheless mean like I slipped up and it didn't land, you know, or this belief system that I follow puts me in a corner that I sometimes feel claustrophobic in. Like there are so many different ways that that can work out, but you like those are the things that come to my mind and come from my heart. Like it it can't always be good. Like you're looking at the perfection of the practice, like the social practice of those belief systems, of those um I'm not a very physical person, so like the when I mean physical, like I don't cook a lot. I don't have like items or heirlooms or like family traditions. Like I don't participate in the rituals of everyday people. Like when it comes to material things. So it's disappointing, I know, but I have other talents. But what I want to connect with is the mistake that there are always going to be positives in your life when you affiliate yourself with a class because other people are doing it and they look like they're having a good time. Like, you know, so continue to understand the fact that like they're not they're not going to be there for you when things go sour after you realize that your inexperience with a item, practice, or belief is working against you because you don't have the experience to support yourself with, and you don't have the support system to provide you with a way to cope. Like, and you can't expect that from other people. You can't. It's not something you can anticipate. So don't go through with it in that manner. The Hierophant is literally what I've been referring to these last 5 minutes. Like the Hierophant being in reverse, like you don't have the support system that can retain this for you. So, like, yeah. Um, it's nice to be an onlooker, but you get to be a person on your own experience. Don't forget about what you have foundations in. So with luck, move forward and look at all the things that you can accomplish on your own. Um, be safe. Um, and enjoy this time period that you get to have. Right now, I'm enjoying the fact that Neptune is 23 degrees in Pisces. So, with that, take care and be well. Thank you.